when I was 17, I lost 100 pounds.
Oof.
I've never put the weight back on.
Yeah.
The majority of my life has been at or around that of a, in quotes, normal weight.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, those pesky 4 years I was gigantic is in reruns.
Today's podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first order when you use my code NASH. Welcome back to the All Good Things podcast. My guest today, Josh Peck. Josh, from the Good Guys podcast, from Christopher Nolan's new movie, from Fatherhood, which you're participating in as a father. You are, you're incredible. You really are. You told me how old you were the other day, and I got shocked.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, why shocked?
I couldn't process it. I was like, oh. It's like Todd and Scott and Heath are having a birthday in a couple days, and it's like a joint birthday party, and they're all going to be like 31, 32.
So you're shocked that we're like of a proper grown-up age.
Yeah.
Because we're all a bunch of Peter Pan man babies running around trying to hold on to our youth and trying to relate to people we shouldn't try to relate to. Really.
Myself included.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I just ingested like 3 episodes of your podcast. Ingested.
Thanks.
What am I, AI? I just ingested. You know when you podcast, you throw out all kinds of words.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used the word banal the other day.
But now?
Oh, excuse me. Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah. Banal. Sounds like a Batman villain. Oh, it's Banal.
But now?
I've come here to turn off your podcast.
You use big words to try to impress people.
It's very obsequious of you.
But now, I think it's Banal.
I met Mark Wahlberg the other day.
I saw that. That's cool.
It's so funny that, you know, we used to do like the videos and stuff. It used to be you could like surprise somebody with something. So I like took Joe to meet Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
But I didn't tell him where we were going, but I knew Mark Wahlberg was going to be there. And then I got there and Mark Wahlberg walked in and I was like, it's your favorite Mark Wahlberg. And he's like, oh, I already know him. And I was like, oh. Like you can't even impress people anymore with the videos. You know what I mean? Like, you can't impress your friends. Everyone's done everything.
Everyone got a car.
Yeah. Everybody got a car. But Mark Wahlberg was so great.
I can believe that.
I got a charge, man. Isn't that weird when you meet a celebrity and you're like psyched and you're like, he's just a human being.
Well, he's impressive. I remember from
Yes, he is.
For my old pod, I interviewed Peter Berg.
You had Peter Berg on your podcast?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He talked a lot about working with people like Wahlberg. And this is what I've heard about people like that, like Wahlberg, The Rock, like who are Kevin Hart, that are like businesses, right? They're enterprises.
Yeah.
And he's like, what I find most inspiring about him is just like how, you know, militaristic he is about like showing up, putting on a good face, being prepared, executing at a high level, not keeping anyone a minute over than is necessary. Yeah. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, he is inspiring in that way. I think that is why I got excited. Or just somebody that like just does everything so well. I mean, I love his Instagrams. Except when he gets talks about Jesus too much, but other than that,
yeah,
I had the worst. I always get pranked on April Fools.
Me too. I'm very gullible.
I got 3 pranks on April Fools on one day. Saturday, I woke up. I took Charlie and Naveen and Charlie's friend to Palm Springs, and we went to Rancho Las Palmas. So I'm like packing the car and I'm getting ready, and I'm doing a lot. I'm getting the girls' bags in the car. I'm getting them breakfast. I'm like doing all this shit. I walk inside and I see Naveen at the breakfast nook and she goes, hey, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? What is it? What's wrong? What's wrong? I mean, this was like a fucking Meryl Streep acting job. Wow. She was like, I just took a test. I'm pregnant. Josh, I was just like, I thought I was going to have a heart attack, like right there. She kept it going for a little bit. And then now the next thing is you got to react the right way. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah.
She goes, are you mad at me? I'm so sorry. She goes, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? And I was like, no, it's good. It's good. And I'm like, we'll do it. We'll have. There's just no good way, because I wasn't like, yes, oh, awesome. And so I was like, we'll do it. We'll have the baby. We'll have the baby.
There's a lot of follow-up questions here.
April Fools. Oh my God. Go ahead.
Why would there be a chance that could be true? I'm assuming
Boy, you go right to it.
I'm assuming you're the kind of guy who never met a condom he liked. I don't see Jason doing this often. Wait. I'm going to run to CVS. No. I see Jason doing this. Hey, are you... Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Boy, I was bricks.
But are you not protecting?
No, I am, but you I don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah, so things can happen, of course.
Right.
But you've talked about having another kid, perhaps, or should we cut this out?
No, put it in.
Yeah, like
Good
was it
clickbait.
just the timing that scared you? Because if you're open to it,
Yeah, it's the timing. Because your first thought is like, okay, I have a 2-bedroom house. Where's the baby going to go? I have a 3-bedroom house with 2 kids.
sure.
So where would the baby go? And also, how would I pay for it?
Yes.
That too. Yeah. And then Charlie got me on, she told me she couldn't culminate. So she's like, she got me April. And then they're like, and then they got me again. April Fools.
What's culminate?
Culminate is like graduate. She didn't have she got like bad grades or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that was that.
Okay, so you would be scared if Naveen was pregnant, which is understandable. I remember my wife and I, we had just been married only like 6 months.
Yeah.
And we had friends who, it's amazing how, and I can only speak to my own experience or the male experience, which is like we spend most of our late teens and 20s or whenever you become sexually active, terrified of getting someone pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? Because in theory, you're dating someone, you don't know if you're going to be married to them. So the idea of being connected to someone forever, being financially able to take care of that kid, it's ingrained in us. Like, don't f up because it'll completely change the trajectory of your life. And then, of course, you find the right person and then you try to procreate and you realize, oh, this can be hard. Yeah. Right? It's not always easy for everyone. Yeah. So my wife and I decide, well, we'll try and we'll see what happens. We'll be open to the idea of it. Well, 1 month later, the first time in 9 years, or no, like 7 or 8 years that we don't protect. A month later, I remember I was doing all these college gigs and I'd had this really great run of like 4 college gigs in a row. And I was flying from city to city every day and they all went wonderfully. And it's Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, gonna go home. Nice weekend. Made a little scratch.
Yeah.
Relax. Sauna. Schwitz. And my wife hits me up. I get to LAX. She goes, I'm here to pick you up. I go, this woman.
How did I get so lucky?
So lucky, you know? Get in the car. She goes, how was your trip? I go, good. She goes, here you go. She hands me the test.
Oh.
I go, you on this? No. You warn a guy.
Give me some gloves.
Please.
Yeah.
And I go, oh. And I just, to your point, even though like still you have to undo the decades of fear and projection and neuroses surrounding the idea of one day being a parent and having to support a kid. And you just go, this is great. Great. Great.
I think what we're saying is there's no part of us that's truly excited.
Not at first.
No, not at first.
No, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
It's terrifying, yeah. But luckily, she's like, oh, you reacted really well. And I was like, I don't think I did.
Smart.
Yeah.
I remember, I learned that well. I remember I was like kind of dating this girl and I was, 23 years old. But like, it was one of those things where we would date, but we wouldn't like kind of be around each other's, like we hadn't really publicly, we were just sort of like we date and we go on dates and we hang out at night and whatnot. And like her roommate knows me, but like we're not sort of out in the world as a couple per se.
Right.
And like we certainly didn't have titles or anything, but we were hanging out pretty regularly. That's kind of what we were. And I remember she cut her hand accidentally. She like broke a glass, and so she had to go get stitches in her hand. So I took her to the hospital. And I'm in the waiting room, and she's next to me. And this little girl walks up. I'm telling you, this girl was a plant, okay? And she goes, "Is that your girlfriend?" And I go, "No." The woman's bleeding. Her hand is cut open. I go, "She's just my friend."
Oh, no.
And I just see the girl like, like it was so inadvertently cold-blooded. Like what it would have taken for me to just tell this little girl, like, yeah, it's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
We're not going steady after that,
No.
but at least I could have given her the respect to not be like, no, she's my pal. This is my acquaintance.
Yeah, guys don't really know a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
They just go through life just like, you just don't know what to do as a guy. And you don't know what means so much to the girl in that. Yeah, you just probably didn't. I've made so many mistakes like that. And now that I'm in this relationship now, I'm like, Jonah took us to a farm on Saturday. And the guy, his investor, whatever, really nice guy, he was like, "Come on, I'll show you the horses." And Naveen was inside using the bathroom. And I started to walk with them to go see the horses. And then I went, "Oh no, I got to go back and wait for Naveen."
Yes.
And I turned around and he goes, "Where are you going?" And I go, I'm going to go wait for Naveen. And he goes, "Oh." And I go, I'm trying to do everything right this time around, like that, you know. And he laughed because he was like my age. And, but yeah, like I truly think I wasn't ready to be in a relationship until right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm willing to part with all those things, do everything right, you know, and put everything into it. That's just like, I don't even tell her bad news. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like try to make everything positive, and that's it. Keep her happy, you know?
I find you either have a choice to kind of, you either do what you did, which is you have those growing pains, you go through those trials and tribulations, and maybe your first thing doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
But if you're doing the growth and you show up and be the great dad, which I've always known you to be, and always have shown up for the most important things in life, and also just been like a human having a human's experience and had highs and lows and everything in between. And then you're equipped when you meet someone like Naveen to bring all that growth to this new thing.
Yeah.
Or like you have what my wife and I have, which is that I met her when she was 20. I was 24. So we've been through massive growth spurts together that were not easy.
Yeah.
But we made a commitment to be in it together. So it's like you can either go, like the growth spurts are going to happen whether you like it or not, unless you refuse to grow, and then you're screwed anyway. And you can either do them alone and then find the person, or you can do it with a person and realize that like it's not going to be some Hallmarkian platitude. It's not going to be some Nicholas Sparks novel. It's going to be like we're sitting at Cheesecake Factory not talking. Like, and there's obviously things to be excited about. We got the Buffalo Blast. Like, let's rejoice.
Yeah,
but it's like, no, I'm annoying and she's not pleased. Like,
Yeah.
You know, and you go like, okay, like this is not going to be as sexy and cool at times as I thought being in a relationship was. But if you're willing to withstand the tough times, you have a deeper connection later.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about, I haven't had any, I'm so in love with her that I'm worried that that time will fade out.
Sure.
You know, like, but it hasn't so far. Like the best parts are being at the Cheesecake Factory now. The best parts are, you know, when you like wake up and you're just sitting there, sitting next to each other, saying nothing.
Yes.
You know, but I'm worried that it'll go away because we went into everything so fast.
But it's not like you guys have only been together 9 months.
I know when you just said 20 and 24, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you got some years. You've been through it.
But we were young, knucklehead people. I'll only speak for myself because my wife's perfect. But I was, you know, we made that commitment, and thankfully my wife comes from like this really strong Irish Catholic family, which taught me like, hey, family doesn't leave.
Yeah.
So this is allowed to be shitty for a second.
Yep.
But I'm not going anywhere. So if you're not, we'll both be here when we work through this.
Yeah.
But that's a big commitment. But again, like we said, like maybe you'll have some version of it, but maybe it won't be the same way because you've done all that work.
Yeah.
And you guys are finding each other a little bit later. You're in like the oxytocin phase. Is that right? Oxycontin. I'm sober 15 years.
You ever had Oxycontin? Have you ever had Oxycontin?
No.
Oh, I guess I have. I had it when I had my surgery.
Oh yeah, I've had had surgery when I've been on that trip. Yeah. It's one of those things. I remember I had like a massive crazy leg surgery, and so they gave me the pump, and I remember hitting the button and I was like, oh, I get it. You know, you feel it go through your bones. You're just like, yep, I see. You know?
Have you ever had anesthesia?
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah, that's the fun one.
Oh God,
that's interesting. I remember
can't wait for my colonoscopy.
Do you get it? Do you get anesthesia for that?
Propofol Poppy.
Oh, you
That's
do?
my rap name, the Propofol Poppy.
When's your colonoscopy?
4 years, unfortunately. When I'm 40, can't wait. I might get an endoscopy too, just to make it a little longer.
What's that?
It's when they go down your throat too.
Oh. Have you ever had like your butt, like have you ever had a tube in your butt to clean out all your
like a colonic?
Colonic, yeah.
Yes, once.
What's that like?
Yeah. Here's the thing that you don't expect, right? Because the way it's presented to you is like this clinical thing, and yes, there's a tube up your butt. But
why did you do this?
I don't know. I was young, bro. I was like 20.
Sure, it was probably part of you like cleaning up your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was like very like I was on this health kick, and there was this place on Moore Park in Laurel Canyon. It's like 5 minutes. We could probably see it from here.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. And what you don't realize is that basically what happens is they stick this tube up your butt and they put purified water into your large intestine. You're like, yeah. That sounds good. Like, I'm with it. What you don't realize is that after you're filled, you sit there for a second, and then they say, let go. And you go,
what?
What do you mean?
What do you mean, let go?
Like, you think it's going to be like extremely clinical, like you're not going to see anything, and like a colonoscopy, right? Like there's going to be something that will happen, and it's good for my health. And she goes, let go. And you go, ma'am, you want me to make duty in front of you? And she's like, yeah, that's okay. So now you make boom boom in front of this nice holistic lady, right?
But what if you don't have to go?
But you're full of water, right?
Oh, you're full of water. Right?
So it's an enema basically,
right.
But it's like a different. So now you're letting go, right? And you got stuff in you for sure. You?
Oh, I know.
So, all that late night eating.
Yeah, I went to town last night.
Yeah, Siete chips are coming out.
Siete, please sponsor.
Captain Crunch.
Yep.
Admiral Crunch, right?
Yeah.
It's old, and so it's coming out. And now she goes, look over here. We're gonna analyze. You see it? There's clear pipes. So your boom boom is traveling through the pipes, right? It's like a train. She's like, you see that? And I'm like, the boom boom? She's like, yeah, man, you have a parasite. and like, not a parasite. They're all going to tell you have candida,
right,
or like some sugar-loving,
sure,
passive parasite. And you're going to have to they're upselling you to do their vitamin therapy. Right. But like, and now you're like, okay, that was terrible.
Yeah.
But okay, so we did it. And you do, and then you repeat that for an hour. And they fill you back up and you go boom, boom. And they fill you back up and you go boom, boom. Clip this and they fill you back up and you go boom, boom. In front of this nice lady. And then you get a little nauseated. So she's putting like peppermint under your nose, like peppermint aromatherapy. And you're just like.
You standing?
No, you're laying down and your legs are up like this, right?
For our audio listeners, Josh is going Full stirrup mode.
and you've got a tube in you, but then all here is like an open kind of like just a drain, right? And it's sucking it like there's vacuum. You're just like, oh my God.
Does it feel good?
No.
Oh, it doesn't feel good.
No. I know what you're saying, and no. It doesn't have any of like the erotic possibility.
Not erotic. Not erotic. I wasn't
like,
saying erotic.
Oh, lighter?
Yeah.
Yeah, in theory,
Yeah.
yes. But you feel like you cheated something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of it?
Like you hooked up your body to a Dyson. Or a shark vac. Okay. Not a Roomba.
Tell us what it's like to work with Christopher Nolan.
Wow. I mean, so I have a very small part in the new movie Oppenheimer coming out in July.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what?
It was a dream.
You know, when I watch his movies, I have to... My son has to explain them to me.
I get that. Same. My son too, and he's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a genius of the highest order. It's something like, there's some great quote like, it ain't bragging if you can back it up.
Yeah.
And not that he brags, but it's just like he's operating at such a level. It's just so rare. Like you can make a great movie that's not for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like you can be a great filmmaker who's making a great art house or independent feature that maybe will win a bunch of awards, but it just won't do great in the box office because maybe it doesn't appeal to a massive audience. He's making those movies, but then also appeals to everyone. Where people like to like go fly to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And his movies are 3 Michelin stars. They're worth a trip. And in our day and age of people who'd mostly rather watch streaming on their beautiful home set up television, to like say, oh no, I'll be at IMAX on the day of and I'll worry about parking and I'll spend $150 in concessions because I want to be part of this experience. That's more and more
So
rare.
few of them, huh?
And he commands that.
And Tarantino's done. He's only making one more, right?
We got to get in it. How do we get in it? Fuck. I want to write my agent and be like, I'll do one line. I got Nolan.
See, this is
Maybe I can trick Tarantino too.
See, this is the part. I saw you talking about this on your podcast. This is a part of why I couldn't be an actor is because I can't think like that.
How
Bums
so?
me out.
What
I
part?
used to think like that. I'd be like, oh, I wish like Bob Odenkirk would like put me in his movie or something like that or whatever he was doing. Or maybe you were like around something and like wishing for that. It bums me out.
Yes.
Thinking that like I'm going to try or even to try to get in a Quentin Tarantino movie and know that the competition is so fierce.
Yeah.
There's so many people. He could go and cast Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers instead of you. You know what I mean? Like he could cast like a singer or like something. He could cast a model. He could cast a nobody. You know what I mean? And it's just like thinking like I could never do it. It bums me out.
But then there's always, was Pulp Fiction the first thing that Tarantino did with Sam Jackson?
I believe
It wasn't
so.
Reservoir Dogs.
Well, Pulp Fiction was his, no, Sam Jackson was not in Reservoir Dogs.
And it was the movie he wrote with Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. Natural Born Killers. So he wrote that, right?
Yeah, and Oliver Stone directed that.
Oliver Stone directed it.
Yeah.
And then Reservoir Dogs was his first, and then Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
And there's Sam Jackson who, and I mean, that movie's stacked, right? It's like Ving Rhames and Travolta and Bruce Willis. And Uma Thurman. But then there's like arguably the greatest, most quotable character in that movie who was Sam Jackson, who was like in his late 40s and certainly on his rise, but was not the Sam Jackson of today.
Right.
But he was just right.
Yeah.
And then he became Tarantino's dude because he was like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
So I think that's the part, we're all fighting for that. Like, what's that?
How are you feeling being on a Christopher Nolan set? Were you like, yourself?
Yes. I was there for 2 months.
Oh, you were there for 2 months.
And we shot all over the U.S. and not all over, but we shot in L.A. and we shot in New Mexico and they shot some stuff in on the East Coast. I would say the thing that what I respected most about Nolan was just like the lack of frills. Like there was no, like it had all of the wonderful things of a movie set, but everyone was there to make a movie. as you know, because you've worked a bunch, sometimes you go to a set and you're like, we're here to make a movie, but we're also here to gossip and eat appetizers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're also here to sit behind Video Village and to talk and to Instagram and to eat all this great craft service and figure out ways to, you know, pad the budget. This process was like everyone was there totally committed to making a great movie.
Isn't that cool?
Because as you know,
there's not many things in life where people are totally focused on one thing like that anymore.
Totally. And you also know that, and here's the exciting part. I'll work on things, and I'm sure you've done this too. Your part on Drake and Josh. Like, maybe Drake and Josh is not an example because for some people that's a Christopher Nolan movie. But I'll say, like, most things you go, this is great. I want to do a good job because I care about doing a good job.
Yeah.
But even if I'm brilliant and even if everything goes right, the potential for this is only to be a 7. Yeah. Even if everything fires at its highest level, just the material we're working with, within the limits, the scope of this project, me who has 6 lines.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let me just do everything. Like I was playing a part of a physicist and I'm literally doing more research than I've probably done for things I was in the lead of.
Yeah.
Cause I'm just like, I don't want to ever be caught flat footed where they're like, well, what do you got for this? And I'm like, God, I don't know. Serious? Like,
so you just studied to be a physicist. You read up on this.
Yeah. And you're also I was playing a real person, which is kind of nice. Cause you go, oh, great. Like I don't have to totally create something. I can actually just pull from reality, which is always the best source.
Yep.
This was my favorite story. So I'm playing this physicist and it's a smaller part. So there's not as much to pull from the script as far as hints of who this guy is. Cause it's not about me. It's about Oppenheimer. But I'm friends with this guy, Dr. Brian Keating, who's a physicist at the UC San Diego. And like 2 weeks before filming, I'm like, I really want to do my due diligence. Let me just call him and just get an idea of like any inside baseball amongst physicists.
Yeah.
Why do you do this job? What makes you
so
love
cool.
physics? And I remember him saying, and what's cool, especially about the story and the history, is like, there's a lot of wonderful Jewish excellence to this story, right? Because it's like Oppenheimer, not necessarily the movie, but just the history. Oppenheimer was Jewish, Einstein was Jewish, you know, all these great physicists, Richard Feynman and Isidore Rabi and Ernest Lawrence, like brilliant Jewish physicists who helped basically win the war. So I was talking to Dr. Keaton and he said, you know, physicists, the wonderful quality I've ever heard. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense. No wonder this is our thing. I bet I know what God was thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Completely Jewish.
It's so good.
Yeah. There's
And
something,
we crush it at physics.
Yeah, there's something about being Jewish where there is no answer. Even if you arrive, even like something simple as like setting the table, like, okay, it's good enough. Like, could it be better? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, there's never any kind of like admittance of excellence or it's done.
Yes.
There could always be more.
That is, if you ask a rabbi or someone, what is Judaism? It's asking questions.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Like, that's all, I mean,
really cool.
Passover's amongst us, the 4 questions, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's all based on, constantly like seeking for a better understanding of like why we're here.
Quick break in the action, guys, to let you know that today's podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. I've been talking about it. I just went to the Taylor Swift show. It was hot. It was fun. It was lively. We had a blast, and you can go see an amazing artist like Taylor Swift. There's so many great artists out there that are on tour, and you would be very, very smart to go and use SeatGeek, download the app, and have the app on your phone. Coachella is coming. Maybe you want to come go see Coachella. I understand there's a great lineup this year at Coachella. You can do it all from the SeatGeek app. You buy the tickets there. They go right to your phone. You show your phone when you walk in. It is incredible. And right now, guys, you're going to get $20 off your first order when you use my code NASH. So go download the SeatGeek app. I don't have to tell you how great that SeatGeek has been to me. We would not have a podcast here without SeatGeek. So thank you. Thank you to SeatGeek, and thank you guys for supporting them. Make sure that they are your #1 choice when it comes to buying tickets. And my thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring this podcast. Did you get any of the stories? Ferris?
I got all of them.
Okay, let's put them up. People who think they're attractive are less likely to wear a mask. I think that's me.
Really?
not going to hide this. Kiss her all day.
You're just anti-mask.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with masks. Masks are. I wish this is an old. No one wears masks anymore.
What I will say is interesting about this is that there. Have you had this? There were certain people that I was like pining away for at the height of COVID, right? Like, I'm not going to say where they worked. No, there were just certain people, and I talked about this with my wife, that when the mask was on, I was like, they're lovely. Like, they are ravishing. No? Right? It helped them a lot. And then COVID ended, and I was like, yikes. You know? I mean, that maybe people thought that about me, but you've had to stare at this dumb face for a long time. But like, yeah, where I was like, oh, what a shame.
These are people in celebrities or friends?
No, friends. People they have interactions with, work at our local pharmacy, Target, Or just like, have you
Tim the barista is looking great.
Yeah, Judy. Judy's a smoke show in an N95. Now she's an N99.
In an N95.
What would your last meal be if you were on death row?
Oh, Queen's chicken with broccoli. Like a sesame chicken or like an orange chicken.
That's it?
Easily. Yeah. What would yours be?
Oh my God, it's going to be a whole thing.
Oh, you'd have like multiple things?
Okay, so I have two schools of thought on this. Okay. They say that when you die, in certain scenarios, you evacuate. Like you're getting a colonic, right?
Right.
If that's the case, and I really want to spite the man, my final meal would be 24 hard-boiled eggs. Because if I'm going to have to, as I'm moving to the next...
You want to leave something stinky behind?
Oh my, can you imagine cleaning that up? The sulfur? It's gross.
So the victim's parents can have a whiff.
Or, just like the COs, a couple correction officers I didn't love.
Yeah.
They're like pushing the plunger. I wink at Dan. I'm like, F you. Like, I mean, like,
will you try to
get the mop, Dan? That's dark. Is that dark, Ferris? Thank you.
I think it's pretty good. Will you do this at your college gig? Will you try that out?
What?
What you just did, that bit?
No.
What are your college gigs like?
I try to go with funny, my college gigs are wonderful now that they were always wonderful because I'm so happy to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm at that age where I feel like these, they seem like babies to me in a great way.
Yeah,
they don't feel like, when I was like in my late 20s, there was some feeling of peers and thus like wanting to impress. And now it's much more like wanting to leave a good and it was slightly inspiring.
Yes. It's that is rewarding, isn't it? To give back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just know, and I'm beginning to realize this. I think we expect our 20s to be insane and wonderful and just like this culmination of everything great about being young, right? Because you're young, you're hot, but you're not in school, you're not under your parents' tutelage, you're living life. It's like, in theory, it should be like this apex of existence, except for me, my 20s were like a lot of growing pains. And a lot of facing, like going through career insecurities and also getting married, which was wonderful, but like learning what it means to be in a relationship and financial insecurity and all these things. So for me, it's like what I always tell people who are graduating is like, you're probably feeling an immense pressure to take this great education of yours and go kick ass in life. Like you probably feel like it's a sprint. Like, let me at it. I'm going to graduate in June and I will have taken over the world by Christmas. And like, allow yourself this time to live and experience and be nice to yourself. Like, it's required for your 20s to be spent having great and awful times and everything in between and learning from those things to set you up for true adulthood, which will come in your 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah. Wow. Well said.
I remember when I did this movie when I was 21 called The Whackness, and it won Sundance, and it was an independent movie with me and Sir Ben Kingsley. I was extremely proud of it, and it did really well for me. And then I did Red Dawn, and I was less proud of that one.
Right.
And I was in a weird spot because I'd had this weird validation of like, wow, maybe it can happen for me. And then I did Red Dawn thinking I was going to be like this action star and was like, oh, that's certainly not my lane. So I had this, his name's Alex Young. He was a former president of Fox. And I got a meeting with him somehow. My agent pulled a favor. And we're sitting there. And as you know, these like general meetings can be a lot of just, oh, where do you like to ski?
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah, like, what do you get at CPK? I'm an avocado egg roll guy, you know? And like, oh, we're going to keep you in mind. We're going to keep you in mind. We got a lot of stuff on the docket. We'll keep you in mind, you know, in the pipeline. Like, pipeline, what are we talking about here? You work for Exxon? And, and so I remember we're doing these pleasantries for the first couple minutes. And finally, Alex just cuts me off and he goes, can I just give you some advice for the next hour? And I go, yeah. And he says, I would implore you to go live an interesting life and not spend your 20s worried about your next job. He's like, and I know that's incredibly hard, but I'll tell you what's not interesting is sitting in a casting office worried about playing the 7th lead on some pilot you're not passionate about. He's like, and instead, he's like, you're a kid. He's like, you're a real kid. He's like, men mature slower than women. He's like, no one's going to look at you as a man until you're in your 30s anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not Leonardo DiCaprio. That's clear, right? Like, there are a few outliers who will break through in their late teens and 20s and just be mega. But for most men, journeyman actors, it'll probably happen later. So I would implore you to spend the next 10 years not worrying about your next gig and instead living an interesting life, adding experience, growing, and having cool things to draw from.
Yeah.
And he was completely right. And so that's the advice I would give anyone else. It's like, I would implore you to live an interesting life as best you can, depending on your financial means.
Uh-huh. Damn, that's really, really good advice. Do you find that now that you're older, you like it better? Like I like who I am now so much more. Physically, I wish I had more energy. I wish I didn't look like a truck ran me over, obviously. But in terms of like happiness and in terms of like who I am, this is the best.
For sure.
Right? It does get better in some ways. It's too bad you can't have both, you know? But aren't you just happier now?
100%. Yeah. You remember the first time we met?
On the set of Drake and Josh?
Well, that. I tried not to mean any extras.
You were very nice that day.
Thanks.
You were really nice.
Oh, thank God.
You were nice. You were nice enough. I met you and I was like, he's busy, but he definitely said hello. You were busy.
It was a bit, yeah.
You were busy. I watched
lot.
you that whole day because I thought you were so funny, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this guy because he's like actually like talented and funny, and I was like, let me see if I can pick something up from him as to how he does it. And you were busy.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Some might say too much work for a 17-year-old. Some might say too much.
Is your book coming? Your second? I know you have a book, but
no second book ever.
No, why not?
No.
Why didn't you like your book?
I like my book fine.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I did it. I'm proud of it.
You're done.
I'll tell you, if I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I feel like I said I editorialized the first half of my life in that book. And that's what I'm ultra proud about. And if you want to know more, you can find it on Amazon, Target. It's on paperback now. Happy People Are Annoying. Thank you so much, Ferris.
Great cover.
It's fine.
You're a perfectionist. You're being too hard on yourself.
Well, I would just say that I feel as though I talked about everything and commented on everything that happened in the first 35 years of my life.
Yeah.
Career, life, work. And in a wonderful way, I feel like I released it. You know, like I have nothing left to say about that time in my life. And so I'm so glad there's a living document that if you want to know, feel free to buy it or just rent it at the library. Like do with it what you will. But what I'm grateful about doing it is I don't really feel the need to like defend my case anymore.
Yeah.
you
done.
know, yeah, I've given my thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what about a book? What about a second book that was just funny stories? That wasn't like that didn't have to, you didn't have to like dig so deep.
Yeah.
You know, like you just tell, like the stuff you always tell me about, like you have so many stories that you pull out. Like that might be fun for a thing. I don't know.
As long as I could be assured it would be on the New York Times bestsellers list, because this one is not. Does it stick in my craw? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I ever win an Oscar, I'm going to be like, you see that, New York Times?
Josh Peck, where can everybody find you?
Snapchat. Joshua Peck. The Good Guys Podcast.
Good Guys Podcast
on Mondays.
with Ben Sofer.
Ben Soffer, my
who's
boy.
great. Ben Soffer.
Love him.
Can't say his name.
Please come back on anytime.
I'll come anytime.
Open invite.
Yep.
And yeah,
Okay.
love ya.
Thanks for being here, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Hold on. Here's the thing about Jason Nash. Can I just opine for a second?
Yeah, please.
Jason Nash is as good as gold. He's as good as it gets. He's an incredible father. He's not. I just feel compelled to say this. My favorite thing about David Dobrik is all the opportunity he gave Jason Nash. That he brought Jason Nash to the public world.
He did.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
Because he saw what we all saw,
Yeah.
which was this is a great untapped talent.
Yeah.
Little self-sabotage, sure. Guy can't get out of his own way. We know this. But when people like me clear that out and say, Jason, a real talker. About Jonah, yes. But other than Nick Antonian, who he hates.
Dude, Jonah deserves it. Oh God. I was at the resort on Saturday, having the best time of my life. Hanging out with Naveen, Charlie, like, you know, and Jonah texts me and he's like, I'm in town. I'm like, and then all of a sudden I said, sure, like come over to find me at the hotel. And then next thing I know, Jonah and Susie are standing in the lobby of the hotel. And I was just like, oh my God, what did I do?
He's like my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
It's like getting a text from Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Like, you know that something is about to happen.
Yeah. And then next thing I know, Naveen is sitting with them in my hotel room, Jonah and Susie. They're arguing about some family member going back and forth. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe Naveen has to like, you know, what it was like? It was like when you like introduce your relatives to your cousins and you like are kind of like afraid that they're going to be totally turned off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so funny. Anyway.
More about Jason. He smells good. All right, that's it.
We're doing oh, maybe you would do this. I'll ask you on camera. We're doing a 50th birthday party video. And we were going to have people come up and make speeches. Not a roast, so you won't be roasted.
Okay.
Maybe you could come and make a speech.
Yeah, where's it going to be?
It'll probably be at like the place we had the roast or something like that.
Sponsored by SeatGeek?
Maybe.
SG?
What's that?
SG? SeatGeek?
Yeah, SeatGeek. Yeah, maybe. Well, let me know. All right, guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Go follow Josh on all platforms. He's the man. And watch him in the new Christopher Nolan movie out next Christmas, probably. Right? July. Oh, it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
You're going to have a lot of meetings that month.
Oh, we'll see.
We'll
see. How I Met Your Father on Hulu.
How I Met Your Father on Hulu.
Yeah. No.
Oh, How I Met Your Father? How's How You Met Your Father?
That's fine. Let's close this thing. How long are we going to go?
Yeah, I know. Bye.